Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Lit24 and what a glorious day for Warhammer 40,000 fans everywhere. Of course we're getting our first glimpse, proper glimpse rather, I mean we had a glimpse of this a while ago, but first sort of semi-in-depth look at Apocalypse. Now for those of you who are not initiated to Apocalypse, or people who may have just joined the hobby, things like that, basically Apocalypse games way back when, in the day, were huge, massive games of Warhammer 40,000, comprising of basically people's entire model collections, and people were able in Apocalypse games to bring to the table the huge, great monsters, machines of war. Things like well, for me, my army, like a Hierophant Bio-Titan, the Bio-Titans from Forge World. You got your Baneblades, the Imperial Guard. You got the actual Titans, the Imperial Titans, all the Chaos War Machines, things like that. Back then, the Apocalypse game allowed you to field those units in huge, great games of Warhammer 40,000. Now, where a game of Warhammer 40k can take up to, I don't know, about 3 hours, 2 and a bit hours, Apocalypse games could take over a day. That's how big they were. You'd have tables put end to end that go the length of sort of like convention halls where people would just play Apocalypse games. And the thought of those kind of games are amazing. Just huge, great wars raged over these tables where people can actually use the big war machines they've bought from Forge World or their huge collections that they spent all these years building up, and they can field them and show them off. So Apocalypse for me was just great. With the advent of 8th edition, Apocalypse went away, because in 7th edition, with the Imperial Armor books from Forge World, you could flick through them, and basically what you'd have is a stamp on the unit, and it would say Apocalypse only. So let's say I couldn't bring a Hierophant Bio-Titan to a normal game of 40k because it's Apocalypse only. So you didn't really see Apocalypse games. Well, I didn't really see any Apocalypse games from where I was sitting. But now it seems Games Workshop have gone to the boffins and said, listen, what we want is people to pay Apocalypse with all these big smashy models. I wanted to do it in less time it takes than to roast a turkey. A couple of hours. And we want it to be a case where people can actually use them. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. And they've come back, and now we've got this, the first real look at it. Now, one of the concerns I had, personally, when playing these games, and it's a concern I have when playing Warhammer 40,000, you could spend all your time building, painting, and putting together your army. And I'll use something I've got, for example. You've got, well, no, I won't. A friend of mine, he's got a knight. He's got an Eldar Wraith Knight. Beautiful looking model. He spent ages on it, building it, painting it. Fantastic. Another friend of mine has got an Necron Pylon. And a Necron Pylon is essentially, for those of you who don't know, a huge, gigantic gun. It's a macro weapon designed to kill Titans. And it can be bought in War 40,000 games. There's no restriction against it. Costs 500 odd points, I think. So slightly more expensive than a regular knight. If my friend with the pylon got first turn, he would point that gun straight at that knight and blow it away, because it would do a ridiculous amount of damage. And that guy, basically, his interaction was, I'm going to put my model on the table, and I'm going to take it off the table again, because he didn't get first turn, and he just got obliterated. That was my main concern. Now, with Apocalypse games, you're going to have so much of these huge weapons of destruction that whoever gets the first turn, because 40,000 is a shooting game at heart, they're just going to turn around and they're going to destroy all your big shiny models that you want to play with. And after watching the video in this article and reading through the blurb, I am quite happy with the way they're doing it, because apparently what they're doing is you will do your movement, your shooting, your charging and all that jazz, and all damage is resolved at the end of the battle round. So that means both sides will shoot, and both sides will do whatever they got to do, and then all damage is allocated at the end of the round. Which means, worst case scenario, you'll still be able to use, even if, for example, I had a Bio-Titan, and I was playing someone who had just a gun line of Titans. They could fire everything they've got into my Bio-Titan. They'll overkill it, but I will still get to interact with my Titan before I take it off the table. And that is something really, really good, allowing people to actually use their models. Because, like I said, the last thing you want to do is have people move huge collections of armies around and just basically put it on the table and put it off again. And they've managed to work a way around that. So, yes, thumbs up for that one, GW. Well done. It also seems that we're going to have decks and decks and decks of new cards, which are the new command asset cards. And apparently these command asset cards, some will be generic, some will be faction focused, and you can, from what I'm reading on the blurb, so it sort of says you can construct your own deck and use them to give you an edge in battle, whether that's, according to the blurb here, unleash devastating psychic powers and pull off cunning strategies, and you'll be able to combine them to work best for your army. So you're really customizing what your army will do. So without having any more information, I'm guessing that I could customize a deck of command assets so I could make a really heavily assaulty based army. So I could have like waves of Gene Stealers, things like that. We're also going to have new markers and stuff to keep track of what's going on, because I can imagine there's going to be a lot of damage going on. Blast markers, things like that, which is really, really good. Also, we also going to get new ways to construct the battlefield, so that you will never play the same mission twice. From the way it's worded and the way it's described to us in the video, you could be playing on a Manufactorum world with an environmental hazard one day, and if you're playing on the environmental Manufactorum world the next day, it might not be the same mission, the same hazard. It might be completely different. So we're giving us lots of options to mix and match missions, which is good. Also, movement trays are here, because as described in the video, which I will try and link, if Kill Team is about individual models and 40,000 is about units, then this game is going to be about formations, things like that. So you got your Outrider, your Spearhead, detachments. So they're bringing in movement trays. And I'm interested to see how units will interact and suffer wounds, because I'm guessing single big models, you take big tanks and whatnot, they'll just have a damage characteristic, and they'll get weaker and weaker the more damage they take. So what happens if I have, let's say, a squad of 30 Gaunts? Do they just have a Gaunt's wound profile 30, and I just keep track of the wounds rather than taking them all off one by one? Because I'm hoping they're going to sort of not do that, just to try to minimize the... what's the word I'm looking for? Minimize the menial work of removing models, putting models back on, that kind of thing. So you're just pushing around these huge blobs of miniatures with these command trays, and you only take them all off when they could be completely destroyed. But then again, will that represent how much damage they've taken? It'd be interesting to see when we've got to get more information on this. But I am very certain I'm going to be picking this up. Even if I don't play it, I'm just very interested in it. They're also saying that they will be able to make all the dial sheets for Apocalypse free as downloads at launch. So you'll be able to play straight away. All you've got to do is buy the actual box with the main rulebook and the dice and the command tokens and the command cards and whatnot. So all your miniatures and their rules will be free online, which is tip-top. Great. I wonder if they will eventually do Apocalypse army books, maybe? Or maybe roll Apocalypse rules into your actual codexes. That might be something worth looking at down the future. We're also going to have brand spanking new dice, as you can see there. I'm guessing those are wound counters at the top, and down there at the bottom are just action dice. And no actual 40k release would be complete without new box sets, and we're going to get a box set for, it looks like, every faction. Let's see there, we've got Orcs, Knights, Imperial Guard, Tau, Mechanicus, Chaos, Space Marines, of course, Nids, Necrons, and Eldar. Oh, no Dark Eldar on there. Oh, that's a bit weird. So, almost all, but I'm sure that will be covered eventually, like a Dark Eldar sort of raiding party, things like that. And there it just goes on to say about how you know, your big Bane Blades and things like that. You'll be able to bring them in as like big behemoths of war. And this will be coinciding, apparently, with the new release of the new Space Marine big shiny tank, the Primaris Repulsor, and the Mechanicus stupid transport thing that I hate. So yeah, guys, really, really excited. Apocalypse is coming. I'm going to keep my eye on this one keenly. Probably will be picking up the rule set at least, because I've got quite a big collection of Nids now, and I'd love the opportunity to field them all against opponents. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening, guys, and I will catch you all next time. See you later.